Before we get into the story, I want to kind of reflect back to the point where you said that it's never too late to heal childhood. So that almost sounds like that time is not linear. The past is always existing with us, and it seems like the past was almost haunting you, where you went to the lower depths, where you hit rock bottom, where you were resorting to different things, video games, essentially numbing yourself. So
Mm.
if there was something you learned from the story, do you think it was not putting maybe enough love for yourself, or was it not accepting the things that you experienced as a child, as a teenager, that really led you to the path that you went on before you hit rock bottom?
It's beautiful. Really, what stuck out to me there when you were talking is that loving for yourself. I definitely did not love myself in any way, shape, or form. And I don't think I accepted what went on in my life. I would absolutely agree with you with that. I didn't love myself. And also, time isn't linear. I believe the past does have an effect on the present. And then that also has an effect on the future. So, what you bring from the past into the now, that will dictate your future. If you're always reflecting on the negative things, you're going to feel negative. So you need to focus on what was good in your life, and then you'll reflect and you can't drive your car looking in the rearview mirror. Okay, you're gonna crash your car. So look back every now and then. But when you look back at them good things, and then you can bring that into your present, and you can take control of the car again. You can start looking 100 feet in front of you, and even with the car analogy, you don't have to find the whole map. You don't need to look right in front of you, 40 years in front of you, or 10 years, or whatever it is. You just need to see the next 100 feet. So I didn't love myself, and I didn't accept what was going on. Yeah, in a wrap at that point.
And Gary, just to reflect back on when you were under this darker part of your life with drugs and alcohol,
Mhm.
were you trying to escape some emotion? Were you maybe angry at the world for taking it away from your? Were you angry at the world for it taking your dad away? Were you just really sad? What were you escaping that drugs and alcohol provided? And how did you? I know you got past it because you actually saw a therapist. So would you say the value that you got from a therapist was just speaking about your emotions? Can you touch a little bit about that?
Yeah, it's really interesting. As you're talking, I'm asking myself, what is it that I was avoiding, or what was it that I really didn't want to feel? And really, I don't think I've ever been asked that question, or even asked myself that question. What is it that I was trying to avoid? I felt like that there was like an emptiness in my heart. I felt like there was just something gone. Maybe I think that was that void from my dad that maybe I got from him when he was here, but then it disappeared. So I maybe used drugs and alcohol and gaming to fill that void. But as we're aware, I don't know if you are aware. I won't ask you, but drugs is more of an instant thing. So that wasn't really good long term. Yeah, yeah. I was trying to fill that void.
Yeah, definitely. Because I speak to a lot of patients, a lot of our patients that we see in a hospital. Some of them do use drugs, and I always talk to them like, "Hey, like, what's causing this?" And a lot of times they give me a very similar answer to yours that they're trying to fill some kind of a void. It's like you're trying to fill a glass that's always getting empty, that you just cannot pour any more liquid into, but it's still always empty. It's a weird thing because it's hard to understand if you don't go through it. It's hard to say that I'm trying to fill a void if you never had to fill a void before.
But back to mental health, because I think that's a topic that every nurse needs to hear about more and more, just because of how healthcare is. Based on your story and your experience, everything you went through in life, what are some tips and tricks that you love other people to know when it comes to mental health, or some misconceptions that you heard that you want to speak to?
Awesome. I think I've got two right off the bat that comes to my mind. And one is I was in Dublin city centre here where I live. I was speaking to random people. I brought in a notice board, a big massive whiteboard, and I said, "Hey, I'll give you €1 for 1 minute if you can answer one question."
Mm.
And the one question I asked 10 to 12 people the question. I asked, what's, we're going on depression. So what advice would you give to someone who's depressed?
Hmm.
I'd say about 6 or 7 of the answers was talk, talk to someone. And I love it. And I like that. And let's say you're not depressed, because to me, depressed is, a 2 out of 10. Let's say suicide is 1 out of 10. And maybe we can touch on that scale. I love a scale of 1 to 10. We'll put that to the side for a second and go back to your point. you don't have to be completely depressed to talk. And the second one I want to mention, the first one was that little one there with the, talk to someone. Now I want to add on to that is, please talk to a person who is competent in their role. Please talk to someone who is maybe in a position where, or a lifestyle that you want to live. You're not going to go to the depressed person logically if you want to feel happier. It just doesn't make sense. So if you're going to go to a professional, please go to a professional that is competent in their role, who is maybe happy in their life, who've got good relationships, they're good with their finances, they feel amazing, and they're also happy about their own role, they're happy about their career, they're happy about their life. Yeah. So don't be afraid not to talk to someone, and don't be afraid to go to someone else. So there's 2 points that just come up straight to my mind. Talk, but also talk to people who will maybe inspire you or make you feel good. They say you're the average of your 5 friends. So go to someone who's a positive influence, I say that.
So who was your positive influence in that case?
So in my case, I would, and this is awesome, thank you for asking that. So in my case, it would be, let's say my therapist really got me on the road to recovery. And then from that, great thing is, it doesn't have to be a person in person. It can be through audiobooks. It can be through videos on YouTube. It can be through reading. And this is really true. And this is genuinely 100%. If you have a podcast going on all day, every day, you're listening to it, you are going to pick up what their words are. You're going to know what their phrases are. You're going to speak like them. You're going to speak how intense they speak. If they speak slow, you're going to speak slow. And that's just because you're getting used to being in an environment with them. And maybe that's what happens to nurses, or it happens to any people in professions. They get used to an environment, and then that just becomes the norm. So my influences, my role models were Tony Robbins, the #1 success coach in the world. I mean, of course, why wouldn't he be my role model? And I would have 5 people in personal development that I would listen to. And I probably wouldn't listen to them, an hour each day, but I'd listen to one of them at least an hour a day. So they were my role models at the start, of people that are online. They don't have to be in person, although in person is awesome too. Yeah.
What stood out to me, what you said a few minutes ago, was you don't need to be depressed, or I think you said suicidal, in order to talk to somebody. And I think that also reflects back to, you don't need to be upset to go hug somebody. I think that's a misconception in our society too, that we need to only hug somebody when they're crying, they're feeling bad. What if we could just give out hugs just because the sake of actually feeling abundance and love and being grateful, and just changing that whole realm around? I think that'd be beautiful.
Yeah, this is where I think we're flawed as men, is because we perceive ourselves as really masculine. We think that we can't talk about these things. We always have this ego on our back or on our shoulders. Every time we try to open up or talk to somebody, it's almost like we feel less of a man. We feel weaker. I mean, that's not a good thought to have, because that's not going to get you very far. Women, on the other hand, they're very lucky because they talk about anything, and they could talk about anything, everything in the world, and they don't really go through this problem as much as guys, because we almost destroy ourselves. Women destroy each other because they like to gossip, they like to talk. Men, we like to self-destruct. We self-destroy ourselves because we don't know, and we're scared to let out what we have on the inside. If you want to watch or listen to our latest episode,
You can check us out on Apple, Spotify, or watch us on YouTube.